Once World War I was over, the fighting had to stop somehow, and they needed to sign a treaty. Europe was in tatters, millions of men dead, an entire generation of young men between the ages of 18 and 25 just gone. Gone. The treaty was signed in Versailles, France, which should give you a little indication about who set the terms. Woodrow Wilson had joined World War I in order to help implement the 14 points. These would have been points in the treaty that would have tried to prevent another world war from happening again and make the world safe for democracy, make the world safe for peace. There were two main clauses to this. The first was he wanted to push for self-determination, that every little nation within the country could have a political state to call its own. So the Serbians could have their territory, and the Austrians and the Hungarians and so forth. The problem with this is that there are so many nationalities within these territories that it would be difficult to piece them apart. And every little nation would not have its own little state, and if they did, the borders would be in constant dispute. So it's unrealistic. The second thing that he wanted was a League of Nations. Now, the League of Nations was a precursor to the modern-day United Nations, a place where countries could get together and rather than have those clauses of World War I with militarism and alliances and so forth, they would be able to talk things out rather than immediately just pull out their guns and try to fight. The League of Nations may have been successful. The United States never actually joins it. We'll get to that later. Britain and France were not concerned with the lasting peace, however. They were not concerned with setting up a situation where there would be no World War II. What Britain and France were concerned about were two things: payments and punishments. In order to make Germany pay for the war, they had to establish Germany's guilt in starting the war. If you recall, Germany did not start the war. It was a Serbian that killed an Austro-Hungarian, which brought the Russians in, which then brought the Germans in. So they were not the first in the chain. However, they were forced to sign something called the War Guilt Clause. This War Guilt Clause meant that Germany would take responsibility for the war. Easy enough. Once they took responsibility, Britain had a massive amount of debt, billions of dollars worth of debt. They wanted to make the Germans pay for that debt, so they set up a system known as reparations. Germany would be forced to pay almost $40 billion, which is nearly $1 trillion in today's money, in order to pay off this debt. And they wanted to punish Germany, so they took away their military, took away their navy, took away all the shipping that they had, took away their most productive coal territory. So Germany really had no way to pay off any of this debt. And this is going to later cause hyperinflation and a couple other massive problems. And really, the end of the war is going to set up the situation where Germany is embarrassed. They have no money. They have a fraction of their territory left, which sets up a situation for Adolf Hitler and the Nazis to rise, leading to World War II.